Hey everybody, my name is Katie Galligan. I am an LCSW working in St. Louis, Missouri. I previously went to ASU for graduate school, worked in Arizona behavioral health system for a number of years, moved to Oregon, worked in Portland for about 5 or 6 years in a variety of roles, and then I moved back to St. Louis, Missouri, which is my hometown. St. Louis, Missouri slash Southern Illinois. I live right on the river on the Illinois side, and I work in St. Louis, Missouri, which is interesting because Illinois and Missouri have very interesting and differing laws, and those have pretty serious implications. And I'm sure that they will come up throughout the course as something that we'll talk about in terms of macro social work and also how that integrates into ethics in really complex ways as we navigate this new political climate. Given Roe v. Wade, the legalization of marijuana. I mean, there's lots of things going on both sides of the river where I live and work. And so we will explore these topics together through videos such as this one. So I just wanted to say hello to you all, to introduce you, to put a face to a name. And I also wanted to just tell you briefly about my social work background in case anybody ever wants to spend time in office hours exploring different areas of social work, as well as different roles within various systems that social workers can work in. So when I first graduated without my MSW and my first master's degree, I started doing what's called in Arizona high needs case management. I worked at an agency called Southwest Network for a number of years, loved working there, had a great experience. And I worked with youth and young adults in between the ages of about 12 to 17.99, and I really preferred to work with adolescents. I worked a lot with gang involved youth, youth in the foster care system, and youth who were commercially sex trafficked. Arizona, Phoenix in particular, and Portland, two cities where I have worked and specialized in working with folks. With experience being commercially sex trafficked as youth, Phoenix and Arizona, or excuse me, Phoenix and Portland happen to be the number one and number two most prevalent areas where sex trafficking occurs. And so we may have some things that come up on those topics as well. Then I started working primarily in behavioral health, and I did a lot of care coordination, community development, more macro level social work, working for Medicaid and Medicare insurance companies. And I did that in Arizona, or I keep saying Arizona, thinking about Arizona today, talking to you guys, Oregon. And so for 5 years in Oregon, I worked as a community based mental health therapist for young adults, transition age youth in between the ages of 18 to 25, who were first getting diagnosed with severe and persistent mental illness. So, bipolar, schizophrenia, complex PTSD, a lot of psychosis manifestations of illnesses were occurring in the population I was working in Oregon. And then, as previously mentioned, I moved back to St. Louis, Missouri recently, just in August of last year, to be closer to family. And I'm working in medical social work now. So I'm still community based, still very mental health and trauma focused, but I work with folks who are homebound in some way, either recovering from a surgery, but most of them are folks with chronic illness. And what I'm finding is that these folks with chronic illness, a lot of times it is a result of lifelong negative coping skills, unresolved childhood or adulthood trauma that has then manifested in some pretty serious chronic illnesses. Sometimes there is a very clear substance use link, and sometimes there's not. And if you all are familiar with the ACEs study, you know that Dr. Nadine Burks, a number of years ago, discovered a common thread in all of her adult patients struggling with chronic illness, things like cancer, diabetes, kidney disease, these things. And it was actually trauma. So trauma has a way of manifesting in the body, making folks real sick. And then by the time they come to me in home health, we're navigating some pretty complex big T trauma that they are thinking about now that they're homebound and sitting still and don't have any distractions. And then also coping with the adjustment challenges of new illnesses that may have affected their mobility, their ability to work outside the home, these kinds of things. And I really, really enjoy doing this type of work. And so I've done a lot of different things, and I'd be happy to talk to any of you all about various types of social work I think that there are many ways in the social work profession to become gainfully employed. I do not ascribe to the narrative of the broke, starving social worker. There are ways to create a very nice and reasonable living off of a social worker salary, particularly in various types of social work, such as care coordination roles for insurance companies, more macro level roles, and then also working in the medical system can come with somewhat of a higher paycheck than behavioral health in some settings. And we can also talk about that. Um, that is also has macro social work implications. Why is it that the behavioral health system and roles within the behavioral health system do not pay as much as, say, medical social work? Um, the clear line of how programs and industries are funded is definitely connected to the differing salaries and how different roles are valued in our society. And the helping professions, teachers, social workers, we've always kind of been on the in the highest debt to income ratio. And these are all things that should be considered as you're kind of navigating through grad school. Where's your place in social work? And maybe like me, you're going to switch several times. So I, worked in behavioral health. I worked with children, youth, young adults. Now I work with older adults in a totally different system. And I found that that was good for my self care. That was part of my self care practice because it became very draining after 10 or 11 years to be entrenched within the youth sex trafficking world and heavy trauma. After 12 years of that, I needed a change, a switch, because my energy sources were low. So I will also talk to you all heavily about self-care. We are living in a super weird time. Um, I used to think, oh, how rad would it have been to be a social worker in the 1970s, 1960s when civil rights was going on, politics were doing what they were doing, and all this, that, and the other. And here we are, social working during a time of COVID, political unrest, all kinds of things. And so we will talk about how all of those things may affect the your personal mental health as a clinician, as a graduate student, and also how to protect yourself from vicarious trauma and to keep your energy sources full so that you can assist other people. I will provide you with weekly optional mindfulness activities as a way to start to integrate very small pieces of self care into your day. I choose these mindfulness activities because they are supported in research. I utilize them in my personal practice, my clinical practice, and my teaching practice. And these activities, they vary from 30 seconds to 2 minutes. So they're really easy to work into your day, even if you're parenting, grad schooling, working, etc. I also want you all to know that I'm here to support you. I can clarify any questions. Please be aware that I can answer any questions that have to do with logistics of assignments, content of assignments. However, I am not your tech support. I am not a techie person. If I have a tech question, which we've actually already had a couple with the video posting, I will send you directly to ASU Tech, which is also in your syllabus. So you can always reach out to me if you're not sure if it's a tech question, and if it is, I will direct you right to ASU Tech. They help me all the time. They're available 24/7, and if you have any issues like uploading videos to Canvas or you're not sure how to make a video, these kinds of things, they're your folks. If it comes to you need mental health support, you need support with your coursework, you're having a hard time in any way, shape, or form, reach out to us. If you need an extension, all extensions will go through Elisa, the lead instructor for this course, and that is just to maintain fairness and consistency. We are pretty strict about our deadlines. However, things happen. People get COVID, kids get sick, all kinds of things happen. I had a student last year, the first week of the semester, somebody broke into her car, stole all of her textbooks and her laptop and her wallet. I mean, don't leave your wallet in your car. However, she needed some extensions. So we'll be reasonable and we will support you. We will also be firm on deadlines if it is not extenuating circumstances. If it's a time management issue, we may direct you to student support and still hold that boundary for the timeline or the deadline accountable. And these are really important social work skills. If we are meeting with clients, if we're turning in referrals, those are strict, hard, fast deadlines. We have to be really, really mindful about our time management and our attention to other folks. I didn't want to go over 10 minutes, and I'm hitting the 10-minute mark, so I'm going to end it here. I really look forward to working and learning from you all this semester. I am an email away. If you all ever need me throughout the course of the day, and I'm home health social working, I may be hard to reach, but I always give students my cell phone number also, because sometimes questions are very easily responded to in a text message, and I don't want you to have to wait until the end of my work shift to get some of those answers. So in an announcement, I will give you all my phone number. I will just ask that you keep it here and only here and don't give it elsewhere. But thank you so much, and I look forward to working with y'all.